So it's that time of year, you're looking at going back to school or college, or maybe you're just looking for something nice for yourself and you're looking at tablets, but you don't want to spend all that crazy Apple money and get yourself an iPad. You might want it, but it is crazy money. So you're looking at Androids, or maybe you just prefer Android in general, and that's the ecosphere that you're working in. Well, at the moment, the top tier tablet that you can get in Android is the Samsung Tab S7 Plus, and I'm going to do a review on my experience with it to date because I've been using it for the last number of months and it's my daily driver. I'm going to give you some information so it can hopefully help inform you in your decision if you're looking at getting a new tablet. My background in professional photography means I'm used to working with huge files. I like to do a lot of layers when I'm editing, and I had used the Samsung Tab 6 before I got the Tab S7 Plus. I have to say I found that the 6 was a little bit underpowered, which is the reason why I got the S7 Plus. And I have to say, it hasn't disappointed. I've been really happy with it so far. It hasn't stuttered or faltered for me at all, and I use this as my daily driver. It is a fantastic piece of kit. It is the most powerful Android tablet on the market at the moment. And fair play to Samsung, because nobody else seems to be bothered investing in this market, which is really disappointing because not everybody wants to use Apple and not everybody can afford what Apple are charging. And prices will never come down without that good competition that we need. So hats off to Samsung for that. Now, like I said, this is my daily driver. I use this all the time. I use this for things like photo editing. I use this for my social media. I use decks. I use it for a lot of different things. So if you're going to school or college, you can maybe get some information from this and it might be applicable to your own situation. I also use it for streaming content. It's absolutely fantastic. The only thing I don't really use this for is photography because the cameras are awful, and I'll go into that now shortly as well. Now, the screen on this thing is absolutely stunning. You're never going to feel bad when you pick it up and look at it and go, that doesn't look great. It looks amazing. The quality is absolutely fantastic. It is beautiful to watch. Now, whether you're streaming content, you're watching videos, any of that good stuff, you're not going to be disappointed. The screen is just gorgeous. It just is gorgeous. It's really nice. So streaming YouTube, Netflix, Prime, any of those kind of services, you're going to really, really enjoy that stuff. It's just gorgeous. So the screen is stunning. Now with the screen, you've got the S Pen. The S Pen comes bundled with this, which is super. It is just so much more reasonable than when you're purchasing your Apple and you have to go and buy your pencil separately. And the S Pen is really, really good. Now I usually use the Note 10 Plus, so I've got my pen with that. There are differences, obviously. Clearly this one is quite a bit smaller. So I've got our Note 10 Plus, and then we've got our S Pen for the tab. So there's a big difference between them. It is a lovely pen. I got the kind of rose gold version of it, and it is a really nice pen to use. I've used Wacom tablets for 15 years easy, and I've never used a Wacom tablet with a pen that works as nice as the pen on this device does. It's just really nice to work with. Pressure sensitivity is really good. It feels really nice. My only gripe is I've got really big hands, and sometimes I press the buttons by accident, but that's kind of more the fact that I've got big monster hands. So if you have just regular sized hands, you probably won't have that issue. And all I need to do is switch up the way I'm holding the pen. It's just the way that it falls into my hand. Sometimes I'll occasionally press the button, and it does have Bluetooth actions on it, and that's where pressing the button can be a problem for me, because you can bring up things like all of your side menu. You can bring up of different options there. You can do turn on and off video and stuff like that. There's different actions in different programs, and the Bluetooth actions, I wouldn't say I use them regularly on it at all. I definitely use the ones on my little pen for my Note 10 Plus for doing things like video, like I am now at the moment, because I can just press the button and pause the video or stop the video or switch modes or that kind of thing. But I tend not to use it as much on the tab just because the camera system on that's not as great. So it's the app that I'd use it in most. But for some people, it might be useful. Now, the pen, like I said, is absolutely brilliant, and you can use that for productivity and for drawing. Now, from productivity perspective, if you're going to be using this for note taking, anything like that, you have a couple of options. You have all of your apps available on the tab in its regular mode, and you can bring up multitasking, and you can set up a lot of windows side by side, or you can switch into Dex mode. Now, Dex mode is Samsung's kind of laptop alternative. It's like working in a desktop mode, and it works really good. I really enjoy using DeX, and the great thing about it is you can connect it to a bigger monitor. Now, is that brilliant for everybody? Not necessarily, because the whole idea of a tablet sometimes that you're using in places where you just have the tablet, but the option is available, and you can also wirelessly stream your content onto a TV as well. A lot of devices work really well with the connection, and I have to say it works much better in connecting things wirelessly than even my Note 10 Plus does. My tablet is the Wi-Fi only option because I don't need to have cellular connection on it, because I can use my phone and tether to that and wirelessly stream internet through my phone wherever I am. So that works for me perfect. But the aerials on this thing are amazing. This can pick up Wi-Fi at a greater distance than any tablet I've ever used. I can pick up Wi-Fi on this here from the building next door. It's about 60 yards away, and that router has one. It's a terrible router. It's got one aerial and one antenna, and it's going through 2 brick walls. And I can still pick up enough signal about 60 meters away to get a little bit of streaming done and stuff like that if I want to. I can browse the internet and do some light browsing. So it is really, really good. There's no way my Note 10 Plus, I lose signal maybe 20, 30 meters closer to that router. So the antenna are fantastic on it, so you'll pick up connections really, really good. In DeX mode though, you do have the option to resize apps using labs mode and stuff. Some apps feel a little bit strange kind of up on the screen. That's just my opinion on them. But for the best part, it is really usable. And if you're going to be doing things like taking notes or anything like that, I mean, it's really, really good to be able to do that kind of multitasking. And you can use Bluetooth keyboard with this, and it makes it just a more seamless experience. You can get some of the accessories like the keyboard case and stuff. I didn't bother because I have enough of that Bluetooth keyboard stuff knocking about already, so I never felt the need to. Between the pen, some of the stands that I have, and Bluetooth keyboards I set up perfect. Now, even with DeX tablet mode and everything, it's not going to fully replace a laptop. There are just some webs that you don't have full control over. Things like Wix. I run a number of Wix websites. I can't go in and edit those on this. So I can do some things, but not all things. And that can be a little bit frustrating, but that's not the tablet's fault. I can't do that on any tablet. It would be great to see websites like that optimized for use for the tablet. Just know that you won't be able to fully replace like a laptop with this. It just doesn't have the capability. But I think an awful lot of that stuff is more software related on the app side, rather than being something that's inherent in the tablet itself. And all that stuff is going to get fixed eventually. But from a photography perspective, I use huge files. I like to use multiple layers. It is a pity that we don't have Photoshop on this, although there is a Photoshop emulator available on your internet browser. I'm not even going to discuss that because I'd say I didn't find it completely trustworthy, even if the product was actually quite good and did emulate Photoshop. It drained my battery. It seemed to be doing stuff in the background. I didn't trust it, so I don't use it anymore. So that's a little bit of a disappointment. But there are other apps that we can use on this as well. And things like Snapseed, which is absolutely free, is a great photo editor. It's really handy to be able to just do a little bit of editing and stick a picture up on social media on that lovely big screen so you can see exactly what you're doing. And you can go in with the pen and really refine things, even with the brushes in Snapseed. One of my favorite tools. Absolutely love it. It's fantastic. And even large files with lots and lots of layers, it doesn't seem to have any trouble processing them. The Tab 6 did, but the 7, I haven't had any trouble with at all. And that's really important because there's nothing worse than working on a document for ages and then it's saying, no, cannot save. Heartbreaking stuff. You won't experience that too much with this. It is really, really good and really, really powerful. And that translates across then to the drawing apps then as well. Now, we don't have our Procreate on this, but we do have other apps which are really, really good. My two favorite drawing apps are Clip Studio and Artflow. They'd be my two favorites on this after trying a number of different ones. And they both have their pros and cons. I wouldn't say that either of them is going to be as good as Procreate. They're just not there yet, but that's more the software, and I think there's improvements being made all the time. Clip Studio is great because if you're like me and you have a photography background and you've used Photoshop a lot, it has a really similar feel to that, and you've still got lots of real estate on the screen, even with all the tools up, which I like, that you can work away and draw on, and you've got that 2-finger tap for undo, which I love. And that's one of my biggest gripes about Artflow, which I absolutely love. It's a great app. I love that app. But unfortunately, you have to go in and get that buried undo button. It's buried in the menu, which I don't like. That's a bit of a shame, and I would like to be able to have a color wheel up on screen rather than just having to paint my own color palette, and you still have to go into your tool menu to get your eyedropper to pick it. So you can set up it so that when you press the button on your pen, it will turn into an eyedropper, so that's really useful, and you can set it up so that it will turn into an eraser as well. So you've got those options. It does help with productivity, but it's just not quite as good as Procreate, but they are fantastic. And the great thing about the drawing apps is if you want to work with large file sizes, like over 6,000 pixels in both directions, and have lots of layers, you can still do that. And you have the capability of doing all the effects for all of the different blending modes, and it just won't have any problems with it. So it's really good, really powerful. You won't struggle with it. It's just a case of if you're willing to work with the apps that we have, and the apps are improving all the time. I think Samsung is making great strides at working with these app manufacturers to make sure that the apps are optimized as much as possible. I mean, they'd want to, they're putting money into this, and it's the only option for us Android users really is their line of tablets. There's just nothing else on the market which is coming even close to them now at the moment. The sound on this thing is absolutely fantastic. I am deaf in this ear, so these are hearing aids, and I can attach it to my hearing aids via Bluetooth so I can get the best sound out of it, but the sound out of the speakers is really, 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 really good. It's got 4 speakers, they are loud, there's just a good quality off them. I do have proper hearing in this ear, so I can still tell when the quality is really good, and it is really, really good. You can basically use this thing as a loudspeaker. I always find audio samples to be a bit kind of funny because you can only hear them through your device, so you're not getting the full sound of it, but I'll stick on a little sample here for you anyway, so you can listen to just how loud this thing is. It is really, really loud, but really good as well. So from a sound perspective, you're getting all that good quality sound while you're watching videos and stuff like that. It's just a really nice experience. It is gorgeous. So I've had this a couple of months now, and do I feel that it's still worth buying? Yes, absolutely. And to be honest with you, at the moment, there's no better option when it comes to Android. Now the price is after coming down on this one a little bit, so since I got it, so it is better value again than when I got it. But what's important to me is, do I feel like in a year's time I will be tired of this? Do I feel like in 2 years' time that this won't be able to do the things that I wanted to? I don't feel that way. I feel like this has some staying power, because there's nothing worse than spending good money on a product and then feeling like in a year or two that it's just not able to do the things, because as more pressure's being put on the hardware by the software, we all know what it's like. Our old phones couldn't possibly handle the stuff that our new phones do on the same software. It's just the way it goes. But I don't think that this is going to suffer at all over the next year or two, and that's why I got it. I wanted something that I felt was going to last me, and I just wasn't necessarily seeing that with the S6. Now, if I was somebody who was just watching my social media feeds, if I was going for things like TikTok and Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff, and I was just streaming videos, watching all that good content, and I was more of a content absorber, I would probably go for maybe the S6 or something like that, and save myself a whole bunch of money, because that will be able to do all that stuff for a long time, and the screen is still really nice. I actually really enjoyed the slightly smaller form factor of the 6 model that I had, because I felt I could bring that more places with me just a little bit easier, perhaps. It just felt like a big giant phone. Maybe because my hands are big, it was a case that it felt really light and comfortable. But at the same time, when I'm doing any content creation on this, oh man, it is so nice to have that good screen. It really just is really lovely to work with. So if you want the best screen that you can get on Android for watching stuff, yeah, go for this. But if you want to save yourself a few quid and you don't think you're going to be creating a lot of content, that you're going to be more interested in just absorbing that content, maybe go for one of the 6 lines. But there is now some other option in this. The Tab S7 FE Fan Edition is out now as well, so you've got a cheaper model which still has really good specs and a good size. That's there as well. Again, you can save yourself a few quid if you go for something like that. But the main thing for me is, I feel like I will still be able to enjoy using this tablet for at least the next 2 years. I don't feel like I'm going to want a newer tablet based on like the fact that this thing won't be able to provide me with what I need. And I think that's really important. If you're gonna put the money into this tablet now, you're gonna get at least 2, maybe 3 years out of this tablet before you start looking at it going, you know what, there's something better out there that I'd really, 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 really like, because this can't do what that does. I don't think that this is gonna have that problem. It's gonna continue to be able to do all of that good stuff. Before we wrap things up, I'm just gonna show you some sample footage from the cameras on this one, because if you're interested in that at all, like, I mean, I'm gonna do a whole separate video on it, because it is disgraceful what tablet producers are expecting us to accept in terms of camera hardware. It's just a joke. There is no tablet with a good camera on, and you might think, why would I want a good camera? I'm never going to use that. Trust me, if it had a good camera, I would definitely use that. I mean, who hasn't been to a wedding where there wasn't somebody with the tablet held up, getting in the way of the bride and groom coming down the aisle, or something to that kind of extent? I would use the tablet, and I can see an awful lot of creative people being able to use this in scenarios. I mean, if you're working on your products or your brand or something like that, and you wanted to take some footage and drop it into Snapseed, quick edit, stick it into Canva, social media post, it would be so much better to be able to do it without having to go from your phone, send it over to your tablet, and then start doing all the stuff. And I think that tablets being a bigger form factor would be a great way for these manufacturers to start. I think they're a better test bed, perhaps, for doing funky stuff with cameras. I would just like to have seen a better quality. Forget about it at night. It's not great for doing TikTok live streams or Instagram live streams. The quality's just not there. I have to go back to my note template. Okay, so some sample footage and sample audio directly from the S7 Plus. You can see I'm actually the minimum focusing distance. I'm probably about 15 centimeters away from this. Now this is the Ultra HD. This is the best option that we've got on this. Now it's very slow. The focus hasn't caught up. I'll have to touch the screen. There we go. So that's really poor. The autofocusing on this is shocking. You can see how long it's going to take before it still took ages to catch up with the focusing, and there is basically zero dynamic range. This is, I mean, the edge of the pond is black. It's just not good. Screen recording, this is your pro mode, and if we look to the left of the screen, we have ISO options, and not many of them. We can go up to 800, manual or auto, really not much options. We got some white balance options, and we have just exposure compensation. We can go down or up. I mean, we basically have that in the regular one as well. I have to say, to consider this any sort of a professional mode is just it's a little bit insulting to professionals. Okay, there might be some professionals who only use that much under cameras, but really it's not great. Now I can get a slightly more pleasing scene here, I think, but still, just the quality's not good at all. Like, I do TikTok live streams pretty much every day on my social media channel that I have Aquascape, and it's my fish keeping channel, and I would love to be able to use the tablet because it has a much better battery. TikTok live streams are absolutely horrendous for destroying batteries. They just chew through batteries for sport. So if you're somebody who likes to do like streaming content and stuff like that, it's great to have that big battery so you're not in the middle of a really good session on live stream and then all of a sudden the battery's gone. That can be really painful, and it happens all the time with my Note 10 Plus. Even though the battery's good, the battery in the tablet is just so much better, but the quality of the cameras isn't great. So I can only use it during the day. I can't zoom in or out for whatever reason when I'm doing live streams on the tablet, whereas I can do that on my phone. It just doesn't give you those options, which is a bit of a pity. So battery's great. I just wish we had better cameras. But that's literally my only gripe. If I had to say, like, do I have a complaint about this tablet? Yeah, I want a better camera. I'm spending good money. I do want better cameras than this. But if you, I mean, you can still do all your document scanning, all that good stuff. It's not the end of the world. It's, I mean, I'd like for it to be better, but you may never want to use the camera. Front-facing camera's grand as well for doing any sort of a video or anything like that. If you're doing Zooms or calls or meetings or anything like that, you're going to have no issues with it. It's going to be absolutely fine. Is it absolutely gorgeous? No, but chances are the streaming service that you're using probably won't be able to handle it anyway. I mean, I'm giving out about it on TikTok Live. The quality's not great. I know that the TikTok Live quality is pretty abysmal anyway, and it does depend on the end user and their capabilities as well in terms of their connection. So There's a lot of variables. I do just wish the cameras were a bit better. But other than that, this is almost the perfect tablet. If it had Photoshop and it had something as powerful as, and look, you'll hear that on every review. That's nothing new. But what I do want to convey is the fact that after using this for a number of months, I don't feel like as if it's slowing down. I don't feel like as if I need more. And I'm really pushing this thing. I push this thing hard. I have so many things open on it at the one time. I'm working with massive layers. Like the drawings that I'm doing would be absolutely huge. And it has no problem with them. Has no problem at all. So yeah, absolutely. Like I said at the start of the video, I would recommend this tablet. It is absolutely fantastic. I love it. It can do all of the good stuff. It's just one or two pieces of software that we're maybe down on compared to Apple users at this point. That's it. That's pretty much it. And it just comes down to the, you know, which ecosphere do you want to work in terms of what Apple will allow you to do and what Android will allow you to do. But realistically, I can't justify spending a couple of $100 extra to get the same setup with those one or two pieces of software, because there are, like, I wouldn't even call them necessarily workarounds now. They're just great pieces of software available. That's it, guys. I'm going to wrap it up there. I will probably do a separate review on the cameras themselves. And if you're interested in any other aspects on this for me to go into in a little bit more depth, feel free to reach out and hit me up in the comments. If you've got any questions at all, hit me up in the comments and I'll be more than happy to help out where I can. Thanks very much for tuning in to this video, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.